Hi, this is Dodger, and you're watching my show.
Three, two, one, ready, go!
I am completely addicted to Persona 5. I can't quite stop playing it. It just feels like every time I have a brief moment where I'm not doing anything, all that I want to do is play Persona 5. So, you know, if you were wondering whether or not A, I had played it, and B, I think it's a good game, there you go. I'm addicted, so I'm like 20 hours in, I want to say. So fun. And you know, pretty much everybody in that game is a husbando slash waifu. I just love them all. I want all of them to be happy. I want to give them all snugs. They're all great. Every character is great. I do feel like out of all of the Persona games that I've given a shot, right? Persona 4 being the one that I've played the most of. This one has the best, like, fleshed out characters. Super into it. Anyway, you guys want to talk about the news? So for our first piece of news, talking about the Nintendo Switch a little bit, a lot of you probably don't know this, but they have both the Switch and the 3DS registered with a company that basically puts up a bounty for hackers. This is a very common idea for anything that's kind of a standalone computer system that has a specific purpose. Like pretty much all game companies, I think, would benefit from doing something like this. But the idea is that you say, okay, I'm inviting anybody to find some kind of a hole in our security, to find some kind of a way that our system can be hacked, and then report it to us, and we'll give you lots of bucks. I like this kind of an idea because it rewards people who are good at this sort of a thing in a legal way. You know, it's a company actually saying, please, we would love it. You know what would just cream my corn right now is if you figured out how to hack the Switch, but then like told us about it so we could give you money. Now, despite the fact that Nintendo has already received, I think, 3 completed bounties, that makes it sound like a video game. I can't get this sentence out and it's killing me. Yes, you must complete these 3 different bounties before you can go on to the next stage. Despite the fact that they've received 3 different bounties completed and paid for, a lot of people in the hacker community are like, nah, we got this. Nah, it's cool. I'm not worried. Those yahoos doing the legal stuff, nah, we're not worried about them. The fact that even with lots of money on the line, they've only received 3 different completed bounties on that is interesting to me. I'm like, that, I mean, as a person who knows literally nothing about it, who has no idea what it's like to try to hack into a system, to hack the planet, if you will, I don't know, it sounds impressive to me, like, oh man, only 3 people have figured out how to do it so far. And now like those holes are plugged, right? So like the amount of, this is gonna sound weird, the amount of potential holes to fit through is dwindling. It's no, you know what, even with me saying it was going to sound weird, it still sounded incredibly weird. And hey, if you're a hacker boy or a hacker girl or a hacker beautiful in between, and you didn't know that you could potentially get money helping out companies figure out what's wrong with their systems, now you know, and you can continue on your path of righteousness for great justice. People are starting to notice that AMD is taking an interest in the VR space. The reason being that they've recently grabbed a company that specializes in virtual reality and augmented reality chips, like for programming. Like potato chips, guys. They specialize in making potato chips, but not in Japan, because right now in Japan, they can't get potato chips, and there's a potato chip drought. It's real, look it up. Now, what exactly could AMD bring to the table that all of these other companies aren't, right? What could they possibly do that would be any different from this multitude of other companies that are working on VR headsets? Apparently, signs point toward them focusing on wireless. Because, okay, look, I have watched many a friend try to figure out a cool, interesting way to have a VR setup in their home without cables all over the place, and it doesn't work, guys. There's always gonna be cables everywhere. So AMD, I think, is starting to look toward the horizon of a virtual reality space where there are no cords, where we don't have weird pulley systems in our house, where we don't have weird cables all along our ceilings. And what a beautiful, blessed world that will be. Yeah. Mark Papermaster, oh my God, what an amazing name. Mark Papermaster, AMD Chief Technology Officer and Senior Vice President, said, "Unwieldy headset cables remain a significant barrier to drive widespread adoption of VR. Our newly acquired wireless VR technology is focused on solving this challenge and is another example of AMD making long-term technology investments to develop high-performance computing and graphics technologies that can create more immersive computing experiences." Honestly, I feel like if they wanted to get into the VR space, like if they wanted to make literally their own headset for VR, it wouldn't be straying too far from what they do. You know, it wouldn't be straying too far from their wheelhouse, what they know that they're good at, and it would be an investment in another direction, which is always smart. So, if in the future you hear that AMD is making a wireless VR headset, just remember, I told you about it first, and I also informed you about the potato chip drought in Japan. Last week we talked a lot about Overwatch. I even worked it into an ad because I'm a professional. Anyway, last week we talked a lot about Overwatch and how people were thinking, oh, well, maybe this new comic that came out, it's hinting at new skins, maybe it's hinting at a new event. Turned out all of that was absolutely true. In fact, it was all confirmed literally the day after the video went live. So not only do we have lots of new skins, we've got, some new extras of varying types along with the skins, but there's also an event that's kind of a horde mode that takes us back in time, which is so cool because I think a lot of us have been wondering, okay, you've been developing this whole world, right? Like all of these different characters with different backstories, this war that happened, this Omnic crisis, right? How are we going to ever experience that inside of the game? Is there going to be a single player campaign? Like, how is that going to work? And I think it's super cool that they decided, all right, here's an event. An event is happening right now that is the Omnic Crisis in London. It's Tracer's first time out, right? It's everybody back in the day during primo Overwatch time, like taken down all of these Omnics, and I think that that is so cool. I just think that it's a really cool way to do it and still focus on what Overwatch is as a game. Not saying that they could never do a single player campaign, but I think the fact that they figured out how to work in big storylines and big story elements while keeping it multiplayer is really cool. There's a big old list of everything that happened in the patch along with, the event and the skins and all of the fun stuff, different like ways that the game was tweaked for the better. So if you would like to see that, I will link it in the description and you can read that at your leisure. Bandai Namco has teased a new video game that is going to be announced on April 20th, and we're not really sure whether or not seeing is believing with this. The reason that I say that is because it's a video with a really cool art style, but they've made it kind of clear like this is in reference to a game that we are going to be announcing. So whether or not the game will actually look like this, we don't really know. If it did, I would be super cool with that. Because this is a teaser, we don't really know like what type of game this is. We don't know if like From Software is involved or anything like that. We really only have the visuals that are presented inside of this video, along with the tagline, "Prepare to Dine," which I think all of us can assume is a play off of Prepare to Die from the Dark Souls franchise, which is why a lot of people saw this video and are like, is it From Software? Is From Software doing this? And while I don't necessarily think that that means anything, they used that tagline for a reason, right? So, here's what I think. Vampires, right? Prepare to Dine, right? I think that it's a vampire game. But April 20th is like right around the corner. So we're gonna find out for sure really soon here. This is all just like speculations that we're making off of a teaser that, again, has a super cool art style, but doesn't really tell us much. I would like it if it wasn't Dark Souls-y. Some people are looking at this and saying, hey, maybe this is going to be the spiritual successor to Bloodborne in the way that Dark Souls was the spiritual successor to Demon Souls, right? Which I hope not. I hope not. I hope that it's a brand new thing. I hope that it's a brand new thing about vampires. Or just, about, look, cannibals, I don't care. Just about people eating each other somehow. and don't make it weird. Cannibals aren't weird, guys, okay? Yeah, it says enjoy this original animation inspired by a new title in development by Bandai Namco Entertainment. See, I don't think that that's what the game looks like. And as a final bit of news that is super duper confusing, Nintendo has decided that they are going to discontinue the NES Classic, which has sold incredibly well. For any of you who missed it, the NES Classic is, it's basically like, it looks like an NES, but it's got 30 different games inside of it. Super, super cool, tiny little system, and it sold so well. In their statements about this, they say, we've listened to consumer feedback. Thanks for all the support. And I'm like, okay, but if you were really listening to consumer feedback, i.e. the sales numbers, you would keep making it? I think this is so confusing. I have no idea why they would stop making this, right? Because it's not like, I was talking about this with TB earlier, it's not like this is a situation where they're going out on a limb, right? They're not going out on a limb making a whole new system that they could potentially lose millions of dollars on. That's not this situation. This is an NES, right? It's like a little digital NES. It looks like an old NES. It's got games that were already made inside of it, and it sold so well. So I don't understand why they would stop making it. And of course, this has created a situation where if you were trying to find one on eBay, those numbers have gone up like 3 times over. The NES Classic was already pretty expensive on eBay, so now it's just like unfathomably expensive. But it's just a strange situation. Maybe they never intended for it to be sold for very long. But in that case, why not change your plans, right? Like, people like it. People want to have it. So let the people have it. Let them eat games. Throughout April, NOA territories will receive the last shipments of Nintendo Entertainment System NES Classic Edition systems for this year. We encourage anyone interested in obtaining this system to check with retail outlets regarding availability. We understand that it has been difficult for many consumers to find a system, and for that we apologize. We've paid close attention to consumer feedback, and we greatly appreciate the incredible level of consumer interest and support for this product. Looking into it a bit more, it looks like the Nintendo spokesperson was saying that it was never intended to be a very long-term situation. They actually sold it for longer than they had intended to, but they are actually shutting it down now. Which again, I think is weird. It's selling well, just let people have it. But hey, I don't own Nintendo, so I can't tell them what to do. I can just yell into the void that is the camera. And that's like, guys, that's like pretty much it. I gotta tell you, I scoured the webs, and I could only find these things that I really cared to talk about at all. It's been a little bit slow. So, I don't know, to round off, I'm gonna say, yes, we are still upset with Atlas for how silly they are, but they made a great game. They made a fantastic game. Look, if you were not sure whether or not Persona 5 was gonna be good and you were waiting to hear, I think that it's fantastic. I don't think you have to have ever played any of the other Persona games. It can be, you know, kind of simple, or it can be incredibly difficult depending on how you decide to play it. It's great. I love it. So there you go. There, we'll round off with a recommendation. Go play Persona 5. It's just a fantastic game. But anywho, that's been my show. Thank you so much for watching. If you have a positive or a negative response, feel free to leave it in my comment section. And if you would like to watch my streams, you can find them at twitch.tv/dexbonus, or you can find the VODs on youtube.com/dexteritybonus. Thank you all so much. I hope that you had a lovely day, and I'll see you again next time. Okay? Bye-bye. Mwah. Cannibals aren't weird, guys, okay?